Well, welcome back this side. And we have some elephants, but I'm just trying to find the best way in here. It's a little bit sort of brush, thick bush brush mix here. It's not big trees, it's not small bushes, it's sort of a brush mix, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna have a look at them, and we're not very far from Gari Waterhole, the big waterhole close to where our camp is. So I'm hoping we'll still get them drinking later on. This morning after the game drive heading back, we actually had a beautiful herd of elephants down at the waterhole. And I think we'll get a good view from up here. I'm hoping it's that herd with that fantastic young character, that young elephant that had that very, very entertaining mock charge with us the other day, and then again with Hayden as well. It was yesterday. So see, there's more of them. A few flies. Awesome. This is not a bad place to get in. There's a couple of young ones. There's a mature female there. Oh, yeah, we've got one youngster already. Where is he? Look at that one. No, he stopped again. He was going to come give us a little look. Let me try and go a bit forward. So there's three young ones playing. Oh guys, sorry, that was a stick banging on the car there. I'm wondering if that's our little guy. Reminds me of him.
It does look like him.
When they're still very small, it's not that easy to recognize them. One of the best ways to ID elephant are using notches on the ears, little cuts and nicks and holes in the ears. And then when they're very young, the ears are normally still quite perfect around the edges. So it's not that easy to get to know them unless you spend time with them. Let me just see, where shall we go? A little bit forward. Just giving us a look there. That's the mum. Right, this is a good spot. Bit of an opening around the termite mound here. Look at that. You see how she's giving us big ears, high head posture. Just saying, listen, don't you be harassing my youngster. Not that we are. Lovely. Beautiful female that. She really is in a peak. Great condition, big, healthy. I can sort of tell you my plan for the rest of the day. Pretty much going to stick with these elephants. I have a very strong feeling they are heading down towards the water. It might take them an hour or two still. It might just take them the next 20 minutes. It's quite funny. Sometimes they're busy feeding, busy eating, you know, a bit of grass, bit of leaves. And then at some stage the matriarch will just decide, listen, it's time to go. Let's go down to the water. Don't think it's there yet. But I also don't think it's going to take the whole day for them to go drink. So we're going to spend quite a lot of time with them. And then once, what's that young one doing? Once we can get down to the water, we'll join them down there. With so many young ones, this specific herd, it's got a lot of youngsters in the group. Young ones, teenagers, kind of elephant that when they get down to the waterhole can be a lot of fun. They can start playing around with each other and with bird life around the waterhole. So yeah, it's going to be an elephant afternoon, I think. We've been very lucky with elephant the last few days. And then closer to sunset, of course, always down at Gowrie Waterhole, this area. Always the possibility of hoping at least for a leopard to pop out somewhere. And also those lions that Hayden has been with. The later the afternoon, the closer we are to them getting active. They will get active. I do want to try and get past them myself as well. I just haven't seen that pride since when we were here last in November, December. I would love to just catch up with them and see what they're up to. But for now, I can't ask for anything better than just beautiful herd of elephants, nice and relaxed with our presence as well. That's a beautiful female, sure. Right in the ear, if you look very, this maybe not now, I'll try and show you later, just to show you some of the notches and markings I've been talking about. That female has got a perfect little sort of keyhole in the ear, but very, very small, so a bit difficult to show out or to point out so quickly. I think that's our guy. The one on the left-hand side of those two, or the smaller, you know, the left-hand to one of the two smaller ones. Or let me put it differently, the one under the trunk. I think that's the one that's been playing around with us. And the right-hand one, you can see it's just got those tiny little tusks, if you look very carefully. Just, now it's turning. Oh, look on the left here. It's just so nice. This young female came walking straight over to us. She was about 30 yards away, and she just came walking right towards us, stopped at about 7 or 8 yards away. Purely just to come have a look. She had a bit of a swagger, almost. There we go again. Look at that. Yes. And then she sort of wants to give us a bit of a playful head shake, and then she pretends to eat again. Not quite sure what she wants to do, but she is certainly curious about us. Amazing animals. I don't just mean that in the sense of, you know, how they built. Biggest mammal in the world, definitely the biggest ears of anything in the world, definitely the longest nose of anything in the world. Lots of biggest and longest and tallest and heaviest. But also, and this is an interesting one that people don't always realize, the most intelligent land mammal, I dare to say, in the world. But generally speaking, considered the most intelligent land mammal after us. And I think maybe we're a bit biased just because we are all humans, so we like to think we're the brightest. That must feel good. Little backside scratched against the marula tree. It's considered that elephants are more intelligent even than chimpanzees, orangutans, gorillas. We understand those primates easier because they're closer to us in terms of behavior and well, genetics even. But elephants are highly evolved, highly intelligent, and very interesting animals. Well, she's walking off, so I think we can move again a little bit. Wait, maybe I'll move the other direction since there's a tree in front of us. That's one of the young ones. They're sort of spread out all over the place at the moment. And as I said a little bit earlier, our plan is pretty much to stay with them. Nice herd of elephants, lots of young ones in them, so seeing them down at the waterhole would be a treat, I can promise you that. But I know where they are, they're not going to disappear. Many of them, and they're quite big. Right, let's have a look at this one quickly, and then I just want to go take a short drive. There was a nice big herd of impala further onto this sort of more open area. Go have a look at those impala, see what they're up to. And we'll come back to these ellies, but for now, let's just have a last look. Hey, you two. Almost certainly mother and calf. Although I say that, I mean, almost certainly. Elephants are also very, very good at helping each other and looking after each other's young ones, so they would gladly babysit any of the other young ones in the group, or just sort of share company as well. That young one, pretty good with using that trunk. But elephants practice that ability as well. They don't just wake up one morning and suddenly they can use their trunk. That's something that they practice over years. When they get, even when they're sort of 10, 15, 20, they're still learning new ways or better ways of using their trunks. Let's see if we can find those impalas, and then we'll make our way back to these ellies. They're just going into a thick area now. This area to our right, I've been through a number of times following leopard, and it's very noisy. You know, those sticks that sort of bang up against the car, and I'd rather let them make their way through it at their own time, and we'll catch them again on the other side when they get into the more open area, and then we're going to go down to the waterhole with them. See them not only drink, but hopefully get those young ones playing a little bit. Good afternoon, Diana. Diana is just wondering, that young elephant that we've had such amazing experiences with a couple of days ago, that mock charge slash play. It was also curious and investigating us, and stood on his back legs at some stage. Had it with Hayden the next day when it was coming up, that same day, the afternoon, and actually coming right up to his car to investigate it. And Hayden was explaining it so beautifully. He said, you know what, Pieter, he doesn't say Pieter, he says Pieter. This elephant came right up. I'm not very good in Australian accent, so I'm not going to try. But he says the elephant came right up to me, mate, and he came right up to the car, and his trunk just came out like this, and just touched it, and then I turned around. So a little bit nervous, but obviously wanting to check us out. Now, Diane is asking, when will that behavior, will it stop, or will it continue? And if it doesn't stop, when will it become not so much fun anymore? I have to admit that ellie, and this is the herd, it's such a nice relaxed herd. In other words, the behavior he's learning from the adults in his group, from his mother, from his aunts, and from his cousins, is that they are pretty relaxed. So that would tell me they do spend a lot of their time in probably Sabi Sands area, where they used to vehicles, and they're very comfortable with vehicles. So firstly, it's not that one day he's just going to suddenly become like an aggressive elephant. He's growing up around elephants that are well used to vehicles. Will it stop? Possibly. You know, it could just be a curiosity phase he's going through now, and later on he decides, you know, does other things again. But my feeling would be, in fact, I've even said it to a couple of guys, you know, just sort of chatting. It would be great. Imagine just imagine for a few seconds with me. Imagine we could dedicate a team of people. I'd gladly volunteer. So listen, we're gonna spend an amount of time, a few months, a year, or the whole time, and we're gonna follow this elephant, really get to know him, see him grow up, do like a 20-year expanded thing with him. That elephant, I think, has got a specific capacity to really be interested in us. Along the way, in my guiding career, working at Juma and Pilansberg and other places I've seen and been, I've always found there are certain elephants that just have a disposition, or just have this curiosity about us. The same as humans. I mean, none of us are the same. We know this. You know, me and you and Brian and your friends and your family and people you don't even know on the game drive with us at the moment. We all differ. We might have, in our case, we all have something in common. We like wildlife. We're interested in it. We're passionate about it, and therefore we can get along quite well. But we all are very different, and the same is exactly the case with animals, and even more so with elephants, because they are very intelligent animals. So that little guy, I think, has got the potential to become a great character, because I have a feeling that that curious behavior will continue to grow, and that mock charge I don't think will become a aggressive charge. He was just playing around with us. Oh, beautiful. These are the same impala, actually the big herd that in November, December again, we were having all the lambs being born. And that's always a big highlight for me, and I know for many people coming out here around that time of year. It's such a stunning thing to see all these baby animals. What's also amazing is how quickly they grow. I'm going to try and show you a specific example. Let's see, that is an adult female. That's another adult female. As soon as we see one, I'll show you. But some of these young ones, there's the young one. That one on the left-hand side, that's an adult female. You see, it's very difficult. There we go. The one walking is an adult. The one standing still with the little horns, that's about 6 months old. Point being that the ones that are 6 months old and the ones that are mature are very, very nearly the same size already. They grow very, very quickly. I mean, impalas, within seconds or minutes at the most after birth, they are up and running around, or up and walking around. And they grow very quickly as well. They have to. If they want to survive, they need to be quick. A little bit of a windy afternoon. I mentioned it earlier and you could hear it a few times, I'm sure, but almost a slightly different weather coming in. Guys, just the things you're seeing in the background there, we are literally just behind camp. We are 200 yards away from camp, so the mast that you might notice, that's the very important part of what we're doing. Without that mast you wouldn't be able to join us. And these impala are slightly jittery, maybe is the word. I think partly with just this wind blowing, that does sometimes unnerve them a little bit. Wind like this is normally a better benefit for predators than for these guys. Stunning afternoon. Light is starting to get that slightly softer feel now, later afternoon time. A couple of big termite mounds there, very sort of African thing. I think people often associate termite mounds also with Africa. That is of course the proverbial tip of the iceberg. Majority of that colony's activity is underground. Follow these guys a bit. They seem to be changing their location a little bit, heading more up to the slightly higher ground. There's the one male, and he's been causing some of the activity. He looks very alert. I wonder what he's seeing. Just the way he's standing, also those ones around him. No alarm calls, so I don't think they've seen something yet. But let's just keep an eye on this. This could be interesting. This is very interesting. We've been sitting with these impalas for a little while now, but that male is definitely looking alert. Now, he was chasing around a young male earlier, a young impala ram that he's starting to push out now as we're getting closer to the rut. So it could be that he's watching that, but those females were also looking quite alert. Look how they're facing different directions. I don't think there's something specific, but I do think, as I said just now, that with the wind picking up a little bit, wind normally makes the animals a little bit more not uncomfortable, but a little bit more sort of uneasy, I guess. Just wind can hide the sound from animals moving better, as well as their movement, because everything is moving a little bit. All the grass and the twigs, if you look around those impala, you'll see there's movement in the wind, and that's all things that could help actually sort of help with the disguise or the camouflage of a predator. So they're just a little bit more nervous. Plus, we haven't had any wind really the last, well, since we've been here, which is about a week now. So just a little bit of unease for them, but nothing major. And I don't think that was anything. The male, you can see, is coming back. He's maybe more just looking for potential. Oh, of course, he goes and hides behind the termite mound. And I guarantee you, as soon as we move, he's going to start walking. But we are getting up to the rutting season now. This is something we'll be talking about every so often over the next few weeks on the game drives, is the mating season or the rut for the impala. Other animals as well, but the impala are the most prevalent. Okay, that's what he was looking at. There you can see him turning again. Okay, difficult to see where I'm sitting. I could just spot him, but that young male that he chased out earlier is trying to come back to the herd, and this guy is just reminding him, hey, I'm not going to stand for that. Go join a bachelor group. You are now done with living in the female herds. Good looking male, this. Look at the shoulders and the neck, nice and strong, nice big neck. He would be between 4 and 6 years old. That's normally the sort of main dominant guys. Let's see if he runs off again. The males in the rutting season, they showing off would be the wrong way of putting it, but they like to show how fit they are. They like to show the other animals and the females, they look at me, I'm in good condition, I can run fast, I can chase young males away, because it's important. The fitter they come across, the stronger they are, the better chance they will have at mating with females and ultimately passing their genetics on again. very, very good condition. Good afternoon, Ria. Nice to have you on Drive with us. You're just wondering how wide ranging, in other words, how far do impala move? Again, I'm sure that would vary quite a lot depending on a lot of circumstances. Habitat would play a big role, population density, in other words, how many other impalas, how many other similar antelopes, in other words, other competitors like, you know, wildebeest, zebra, and so forth. Predator density would play a role. But these herds move around, typically speaking, a couple of thousand hectares. So let's say probably around 1,000 to 3,000 hectares home ranges. They're not territorial. Impalas aren't like leopard, for instance, that have a very specific territory that they protect against other animals. They will allow other impala to come through, but they have home ranges, certain areas that they live in and stay in. Little fluff of the white tail there, making sure that the females know he's in good condition and fit and healthy. Right, well, I think we're going to leave these impalas shortly. Let's take one more question on them, and then we're going to go back to those ellies and see how far they are. Hello Trent, nice to have you on Drive again. There's not that many people in Fiji that's on Drive, so nice to hear from you. He's just referring to the impala's tails. Now this male actually at the moment is really showing us his tail, but Trent was just asking, when impalas are being alert, why is the tail tucked in? Now let's just, well actually that's the perfect example. Let's look at this male. Look at the markings on the tail. The white was very prevalent just now, very obvious, but also those three black lines. Very, very visual. You could easily see that. So basically, these impalas, they use a lot of visual communication. So they use sound. They've got warning sounds. When there's danger, they go. Don't want to make it too loud because then they're going to think there's danger. But and the tail down would mean that it's pretty normal. So let's get back to this again. If we look at these guys, there's a lot of tail flicking going on. Let's try and get you a good example. There we go. Right down the tail end of these impala. So lots of tail flicking would mean firstly there's flies, but secondly also that they're nice and relaxed. There's no concern. The other impalas can see the tails are swishing every now and again. The tail between the legs, or when it's still, would also not be a major concern. So if they are looking at something, the posture will alert other animals that they're looking at something. But if they then see something and make the alarm call, that sort of barking that I just made, and they're running away. When they run away from something, that tail lifts up. So then you've got the white stripes on the backside and the white flash from underneath the tail, and that would also signify or show danger to other impalas. So there's a bit of a sort of brake lights and tail lights and indicator lights kind of aspect to the tail markings on these impala. Alrighty. Great that the impala herds are back, or this specific herd. I like this group. Always great when you see animals in relatively large numbers. And also means that the leopards might be back. Because they come past and there's not much activity, then they go on again. If they come past and they smell, oh, okay, there's been a couple of hundred impala here lately, then the leopards could stick around a bit. We're just going to head back down to where those elephants were, and I'm hoping by now they've moved through that thick stuff, slowly making their way towards a more open area, which will be great for us in terms of viewing them. And then I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we're going to see them having a drink, and if we're very lucky, swimming and playing down at the waterhole as well. So let's go see. Well guys, HT is also out there looking for things, and don't go away, and you're going to see a bird with him. Enjoy it.